This is the third day of the April 93 7-day retreat at Springwater. The question we touched upon yesterday, what is effort and what is resistance, have occupied many people. It came up in meetings, so we will say some more, go further into it. This two-pronged question. Is effort needed? And what is resistance? Because we cannot understand one without the other. It's clear, isn't it? If I can't wait to get out and take a walk up into the hills, or see whether these crocuses have opened up, or whether maybe there will be some deer, it needs no effort. I'll dash out there as soon as the time is there. There's no resistance either, because this is what I want to do, what I love to do. Beautiful day beckons. No resistance, no effort, which doesn't mean that it isn't hard on the joints or legs or the hips or whatever to walk uphill steeply, fastly. There's energy involved in that, and maybe effort when it's not as young as one used to be. Something slows down. Maybe it seems as though the body made some resistance at times. But even that we can never take at face value what presents itself, but examine it closer. And also find out that the body reacts differently at different times. There's great energy, great enthusiasm, or joy in doing something. Then there's energy which overrides a tired body or an aching body in an amazing way, unexplainable. It's the same body, and yet a different mobility or flexibility with this energy of joy. Same with tiredness. We've talked about that in meetings too. One can feel dreadfully tired. So tired that the only thing to do seems to be to go to sleep. And if there's the possibility to go to sleep in bed or in a chair, it happens. But sometimes we can't go to sleep because there's something we need to do. The other night we had a meeting scheduled here, a staff meeting at 8 o'clock in the evening. I went home to have supper with Kyle, and we watched the news. That can already be a very draining affair, watching the news. After that, all you want to do is pull up the sleeping bag and not see or hear anything of the world anymore. Sometimes it has that effect. So here was the meeting coming up. Sitting before it. So on the way over, I said to God, you can't imagine how tired I feel. So tired. If it wasn't for this meeting, I'd be in bed. Usually I don't go to bed that early. And then there was the sitting and then the meeting, and at the meeting, which usually ends at 9:30, by the time we looked, what time is it? It was 10 o'clock. I wasn't the least bit tired. I was awake till about 2 o'clock in the morning. So what is this tiredness? We can make, and that's what happens in spiritual practice. It happened where I trained. You're encouraged and admonished to make an effort to overcome tiredness. to fight it, to beat it. But it can change on its own. If something happens that releases energy which was blocked before, blocked by fear, blocked by boredom, blocked by plenty of ideas about tiredness, blocked by thoughts about what's the use or so what. These thoughts can be real energy binders. And a moment of opening, which means the circuit into the labyrinth of ideas is broken. The circuit is just energy here now. And all of a sudden the tiredness may be gone, transformed, as it were, into beingness. With which I'm not saying don't heed tiredness at all. This is what we were told years ago, and maybe it's probably still going on. Sometimes it's the most wonderful thing one can do is go to bed and then sleep. If you go to bed and you can't sleep, that's not so wonderful. But to sleep, and to sleep deeply, is the most marvelous thing, this body regenerating, refurbishing itself, which it needs. It's different bodies, we're told, different amounts. But that for each body it can also change depending on the circumstances. At your usual bedtime, your best friend calls up and says, "I'll be over." Are you going to be tired? So this whole thing of effort and resistance is deeply connected with our state of being, with whether the energy travels in the thought circuit, in the thought/emotion/feeling/resistance circuit, or whether it is free to just be there without any particular aim or goal. So coming back to one person, started a meeting right off. We've never had such a quick start. Usually it takes a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. On this meeting, the door was hardly closed. What is resistance? This thing has grabbed me, and hasn't let go of me. What is resistance? And this is where we can really look and examine and come in touch with what's going on, maybe in little glimpses at first. The other question of what is enlightenment or what is freedom, who can say, who can talk about that? But resistance we can examine because it's there. You don't have to go very far. You don't have to go to our next door neighbor. It's here. Our life of resistance. Maybe this is what most of our life is, resistance. Maybe this is what this whole me circuit is a circuit of resistance. I can't, I don't want to, I shouldn't, or I am, I will become. This is what I'll be, and not in touch with what's there. Resisting that. Resisting what? We're talking about in one meeting. I think it was not an open talk. It was a meeting, a group meeting. And the examples I can best take from myself, because then I can look, and also can look at memory. It's not that looking can only be of this instant, of the breathing that happens, or the sigh, or the wind, or the birds. A memory evoked, whatever that is, physically, physiologically, chemically, It can be looked at. You can right now look at the memory of your home, can't you? The house, your child, your spouse, the view from your window. You can look at that. It's not quite as rich and concise as we look out of this window, but there's something to look at. And there's awareness that you're looking at a memory. You know you're not looking at your real house. It's an image. Can you see it? The image of your house? And maybe all kinds of feelings connected with it. I wish I was there, or I'm glad I'm not there. So, I'll take an example of looking at resistance. I do get mail, letters, people writing me, and I answer every letter. Usually there's quite a bit in the stack, quite a few. And certain letters have the way of constantly filtering to the bottom of the pile. I usually don't think too much about it, but there's some awareness that this letter better go to the bottom of the pile. It would take too long. I don't know if I can answer it. It's too complicated. I've tried to explain it before. It hasn't worked. Or this person, is he really interested? All kinds of such thoughts crisscross. And out of that sort of comes a feeling, I don't want to answer this letter. Sometimes there are 2 or 3 like that. And eventually, sometimes it happens, all the letters are gone and there are these 2 or 3 letters. And faced with resistance, one thinks, what else do I need to do that's really more urgent than answering letters? But straighten my files out. Hasn't been done in years. And the thought of the letter. The thought also gives discomfort because by programming and conditioning, I only feel right if I answer my letters. Leaving letters lying around is not a comfortable feeling. It comes back to the mind. The memory of the letters not answered. So the idea, I don't want to do it, I can't, I don't like it, it's hard. It'll be time consuming, it'll take me forever, I won't be able to do other things. All of these are ingredients of resistance, which sort of have a way of occupying time and space in the mind, or projecting time and space and weight. Something that you want to do doesn't project time, space, or weight, you just do it. It may take time, it occupies space, has some weight. You may have to build 20,000 kitchen cabinets and doors and drawers. It amazes me how this has happened here last few weeks. I would have such resistance to doing even one cabinet. It would never happen. At least this is how I think. Maybe I could be turned on to making kitchen cabinets. But the people who did it seemed to love it, excited about it, skipping sometimes part of the lunch period or rest period. Because this beckoned to be done. And so it didn't occupy the weight of, how much time it's going to take me. And in my scheduling, it didn't. In the scheduling, it apparently didn't take space. It was just no space. I'll do it. It needs to be done. So, can we examine how we think of the things that cause us resistance, and question that? Question that weight, time, and space that seems to exist in the mind and thinking about something I don't want to do. Because it never fails. Attention remains, at least for a while, at times. We realize once we do it, the time and space and weight shrink or fall away entirely. Because if you're there, with what you're doing, you've overcome this hump, you gotta do it, is still there, and you don't like to leave an unanswered letter, then if the program of rushing through it abates, because you realize that creates a lot of problems, a lot of resistance, trying to get done with it. It's much easier, much more delightful to give time to what you finally are doing. Give time in terms of not rushing, not, how do you say, skimming over it or brushing over it, but to give attention to it. Take time to think, take time to look at what you're saying, take time to read the letter again. You don't want to. It's 8 pages long, sometimes 60. I've received 60-page long letters. A short one would be 30 pages from that person. You just don't want to read it again. But if you do, at least certain parts, it becomes interesting. Because the person has taken time to look. And what he says or she says may really be interesting to ponder together. All of this other stuff drops away. Do we take time out to listen to the sound of windows closing? Or are we impatient to hear more? Or glad that the stream is interrupted for a while? See, nothing is uninteresting or unbearable if we give time to listen, to be with it, and not rush on or move away. Can we find that out time and time again afresh? What resistance is? The question has been asked. It is our life. And the reasons for it we gave yesterday, all the pushings around that we've received, the squelching of our will. Because little children and babies, all they are is desire. All is they want things. Because when that desire is appeased for a while, they're fed, and properly clothed and comfortable, then they begin to investigate and look, find things out. And then there comes an interruption. Get ready. Gotta go there. Hurry up. Get going. Little children are not rushers. We are made into rushers by rushy parents who have no time or little time, overscheduled. So our desire to be with something, to explore it, to play with it, to take time has been thwarted time and time again in our early life. In our civilization and culture. There must be or have been other civilizations where time was the most abundant resource that people had. There was no need to push children around. It's so lovely to watch animal documentary movies, particularly the scenes of mothers with cubs or babies, the space that little babies, little baby animals are given to explore, and you can feel how the field of security extended by the mother is felt by the cubs. They can play in that field, and there's no, don't do that, or come back. They come back on their own. Sometimes they go quite a ways away. Sometimes with apes or monkeys, They have such long arms, and when the little one is too far away, that arm just stretches out and pulls back the little bits of new baby. There's no hassle, no blame, no guilt. Well, we didn't have that, most of us. Maybe none of us. There was always a thwarting, an interruption. We were told, don't be so selfish. Do what I say. And what the elders said was more important, was always felt to be more important. The thing to be done, the better thing, the more significant thing, the necessary thing. What the children wanted was the less important, the less necessary thing. It's just play. So with all of that, why, of course resistance has built up. The resistance to people pushing us around and to tasks pushing us around. Resistance to the idea I have to do that. Maybe without even knowing how it feels to do it, we already resist it because it has to be done. An old program always running anew. So can we tune into that and question it? Not take all of these programs that run, all these voices that say, go away, I don't want to. Not to take it for the absolute truth, but just to take it for conditioned ongoings. Wired into this body from the very outset. Already in the uterus, or probably a rushy mother feels different from a calm, quiet, at ease mother. And of course, mothers and her mothers and fathers, dominance, domineeringness is also in us. It's whole mankind is in us, the past of that, humankind. So what is resistance? Keep that question alive and watch it and experiment with it. Whether as you do the thing that you resist, don't believe all these messages. It's terrible, you can't do it. It's boring. Don't believe it. Find out again firsthand. And if the attention is there to do it, the energy is there, energy not caught up in resistance and breakthrough, willpower, that drains the energy. It's there in doing the thing, with resistance put aside. Then it may be amazingly different and pleasant, delightful. At least not as horrible or boring or ornery as we thought. Honor, that's another word. Honor? Honorous. Yeah. I've spoken this language so many years, but some words are just muddled up. And we may find to our surprise and delight that with this experimenting, interested way, a change of mood takes place, and the effort thing changes too. It's not that we have to push against something, like a wall or a barricade, but that energy of pushing and willing and efforting is there for attention. For looking and listening anew in a job that has become so mechanical, so loathed, or however we feel about our daily work. Some people love what they're doing, most people don't. It's a drag through the day. which takes a toll on our whole organism and on the mind and on our relationship with each other, our health. Whatever we're doing, whether it's washing the dishes or taking a walk or writing a letter or doing the cleaning or taking care of people's health, construction, whatever. Can one give some attention to the work, not in order to be an attentive worker? We talked about that yesterday. That's just image serving. And it doesn't bring this being with the thing for its own sake. Finding out about the hands moving, the body moving, the sounds and sights and smells, without any ideas whether we're good at it or not. And if those ideas come up, just see them as past foam. Past fog. If you see it that way, it will not captivate you or influence you. If you don't see it as that, then it burdens you all day long and the next day. So we're not saying that doing things, whatever one may be doing, including sitting quietly in a retreat, that involves no energy. Of course it does. Everything involves energy. And the more it's blocked and inhibited and diverted, captured by something other than what we're doing, the more we feel we have to make an effort and sort of just scrounge for energy or have somebody hit us on the shoulders. You see, what sustains this whole universe? The stars, sun and moon, the galaxies, the grass which is now coming through the ground, still partly frozen, muddy, in other areas of the country maybe thickly crusted. I've read that one blade of grass in the spring to break through the earth takes the equivalent of 416 pounds of force, of work, of energy. Where does that come from? Does the grass say, now it's time to make an effort to get to see the sun? No, the sun is there and the grass has the energy to break through. They go together. It may not even be breaking through. It may be, I don't know, a parting. As the grass grows, there's a cracking of the earth. The sun is there. The warming. So much that we don't even know about. It all works mysteriously together. And we, as isolated as we may feel we are part of this whole total thing of life. What builds up this body are components which come from all over the world. Broken down carbons, through foodstuffs, through air. Who knows where all of these materials come from? From all over is the likelihood. And what made the earth, they tell us, is stardust exploded, stars and dust reforming, forming planets. One energy, one whole material process. The word material is not said judgmentally or evaluatingly, because material is also energy, and energy is matter, depending on their transitory states. So maybe we have some strange false assumptions about energy or efforts we have to make, because we have not experimented with just allowing energy to gather freely in an open space of attention. And the amazing thing is that it does gather. From where, I don't know. It's there. It's not outside and then it's inside. These are also assumptions, strongly supported by physical sensations, which can be deluding, that there is an inside and outside. And this has happened to many people who sit quietly for days. Sometimes some people sit for weeks, months, or years. It's up to each one. But it doesn't take that long to sense that there isn't really any boundary line between this and what I have called the outside. The body is one field of energy. The room, the earth, the universe is one field of energy. One is not separate from that. Physics is confirming that and discovering that. But we don't have to get the books out on physics and try to understand. This is what we usually do, and we think that way we'll get it. But that way we don't get it. We don't have to get it. It reveals itself. It is so. And each human being can come upon that. There are not too many ideas and assumptions bouncing around in the mind of what I have to do to get there, and the time it takes, and the effort, and the sweat and blood and tears it takes. It may have taken it for someone in the past, but that it had to be so is idea and assumption. Who knows? So can whatever we call energy be allowed to gather in quiet listening, looking, not knowing, wondering, attending, and in between maybe long stretches of forgetting everything, being with a dream and all the energies and efforts that are made in dreams, or reverie, or I don't have to talk about what goes on. We all know it. And then when there's a moment of waking up to the dream that was, or the reverie, or the daydream, see it at a glance. Don't spend a lot of energy berating yourself for it, going into these long thought trains of how by now, having meditated for 7 years or for 70 years, I ought to be better than this. Such a waste. We are what we are each instant. To just see that and let it be and let it go, that allows energy to gather. Not for doing something, but just for being, or doing what is right in front of us. don't want to sound dogmatic, and I may have, please, if this is how you hear it, bring it, and we'll look at it. Maybe change the language which has been used. The language is not the important part. There's something much more important going on. Being in touch with each other on a friendly basis. Which does not have to exclude antagonism if that comes up. We'll look at that too. What is that? Nothing that we think is really what it is. What is not what we think it is. Can we see thought for what it is? We will end here for today.